Today I'm going to show you how simple it is to get rich in the military. Now, these are the 7 steps that I used to go from broke to millionaire in 5.5 years as an active duty enlisted Marine. The very first thing here is so overlooked whenever you talk about any of this stuff, and that is to get promoted. Make rank, pick up, whatever you want to call it. You get in the military, you get a pay raise your first 4 years, every other year after that, and every time you get a promotion. And arguably, the largest pay raises come in tandem with promotion. And yet, I see all these service members running around like driving for Uber and spending time on their weekend, doing a side hustle or whatever to like earn a little extra money when you're already at work for the military. And so if you just focused a little bit of that side hustle time toward making sure you got promoted faster than your peers, you'd get paid more for being at work, which is already time that you're using. So you work a little bit harder, a little bit more efficiently to get promoted, and then boom, you're making more for doing the same. Now, yes, there's a little bit more responsibility, and you could argue there's a little bit more time involved with promotion, but it is not the same as going and picking up a second job, I promise. In fact, I would argue that as I got promoted, my life got easier in the military by and large. So some simple things, staying in shape, right? Like fitness matters, especially in the Marine Corps. Doing your whatever the education requirements are. In some branches, that's schooling. In some branches, that's whatever. In the Marine Corps, we have these MCIs and these Marine Net classes, like whatever that is, maxing out the points you can get from that towards promotion, and then just be known as a good, hard worker at work. Be the person they call on. Be the person that they depend on, so that when promotions come up, especially meritorious, you can be the one thought of it. And I will tell you this, I was a contract PFC, which in the Marine Corps just means I did beforehand. I was an Eagle Scout, right? So I got skipped private, went straight to contract PFC out of boot camp. I was a normal Lance Corporal, but I was promoted the very first day I was eligible. I was a Corporal, promoted the very first day I was eligible because I maxed out my points for everything. And then I was a meritorious Sergeant. I made Sergeant in the Marine Corps in 3 years and 2 months, which for anyone who knows anything about that branch of service is extremely fast. And I was in the Motor T occupational field. Arguably, and it depends, it goes in cycles, but one of the slowest promoting jobs in the entire Marine Corps, always. And at the time, the second slowest promoting in the entire Marine Corps was my MOS, and I was promoted faster than most people in any MOS because I maxed out my fitness scores, my educational stuff, and my McMap, like everything that I could for my promotional score component. And your branch is going to do things a little bit differently, but there's a roadmap. You will know exactly what it takes to get promoted above your peers, and if you do those things, then when time for promotion comes, you'll get it instead of getting passed over, which means you'll get pay raise instead of not getting pay raise, which means you'll be in a better spot financially without having to take a second, third, fourth job. Or if you take a second, third, fourth job, it's just extra money in your freaking pocket. So don't overlook promoted and being good at what you do. Number 2 here, and this is arguably like chronologically the very first thing you should do, like the day you go to boot camp, invest in your thrift savings plan, your TSP, set it up. Anyone joining after 2020 is in the blended retirement system, the BRS, which means that after a few years, you will get an automatic 5% matching contribution from the government, or up to 5% matching contribution, as long as you contribute to your thrift savings plan. The thrift savings plan is a simple, automated, and out of mind, out of sight way to invest in the entire economy, in index funds, in mass, like bulk funds of the economic, of the economy within the United States. And I don't know about you, but I like to bet on the United States economy as a whole, but you've also got international funds, right? But there are different funds, and you can just set your money in there, and over time, it will compound. Now, if I'm a young service member, personally, I would choose the Roth, meaning you pay the taxes up front and not on the back end, because I would assume that my taxable income in retirement will be more than I'm making as like an 18-year-old E2 in the Marine Corps. Especially because if you watch my video on Marine Corps pay, which you should, 60% or a large chunk of our income in the service is tax exempt, which is a huge benefit because it means you're making more money than you're getting taxed on. So you pay taxes on the lower part. Down the road, when you're making more money that you are getting taxed on, you avoid that benefit. Now, I am not going to say that I'm a financial advisor and I'm not giving you financial advice. Do your own research between traditional and Roth. I've got videos on that. Personally, I did the Roth. I think that was the right move. And I'll say this, there are a whole lot of funds. I've got videos on this that you can deep dive. If you aren't willing to do the homework, just put your money in the life cycle fund that correlates to the year that you'll most likely start withdrawing when you're about 59 and a half, 60 years old. If you are going to do your own homework, then don't do the life cycle because the life cycle is great but there are better returns that can be had if you manage your own portfolio. You just need to know what you're doing if you want to go that route. A great book on this is called Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. If you go to my podcast, I've got an episode with J.L. Collins that you can check out, and we deep dive this specifically for the TSP. I would give that a listen. One last beautiful thing about the TSP is that it operates as both a crazy good, ultimate emergency plan. You don't want to just pull it all the time, but you can access those funds if you absolutely have to. And it also operates as cash reserves towards buying real estate down the road, which provides you a little more leverage to buy things like a fourplex. And that's a cool, just side benefit of the TSP. Step 3 here is just save some money. You should have an emergency fund. You should have at least 1 month of all your expenses set aside. So if it costs you $2,000 a month to live, then set aside $2,000 in a savings account. And then eventually you want to build that up to 6 months cash reserves so that if things just hit the fan, you've got some money set aside. And then I would say as you get closer to transition, the more money you have, the better, because there are always bumps in the road with transition. Again, I've got a video on transitioning out of the military and 8 things I wish I'd known before I did it. I would check that out. But just know that saving some cash to the side is better to have in reserve as dry powder, as we call it, than relying on a credit card. While I have nothing against credit cards, you don't want to rely on that as your emergency fund when you can have some liquid cash. Step 4 here is to build and then maintain a good credit score. And the best way to do this is to get out of debt, which really step 4 should probably be more about the debt side than the credit side. Both, we'll just throw them into one there. Pay off any crappy debt you have or avoid taking on crappy debt by having an emergency fund, and then maintain a good credit score. Now, I've got entire videos on credit scores and how to improve that, but having credit will open a lot of doors down the road for you in regards to both real estate investing, lines of credit, credit cards, business credit cards, personal loans, and all sorts of other stuff. And it will also help you get out of a bind if you need it. But it's also very advantageous to building wealth down the road. But for the personal finance side, just building and maintaining a good credit score is a good move, which is as simple as opening a credit card, putting $100 on it and paying it off every single month. So you don't roll the interest on it. You just buy something for $100, pay it off immediately. And that is just showing that you're utilizing the credit card. And over time, your score for having a low usage on that card and paying your bill every month will help your score go up and you'll build credit. It's the simplest way to do it. That and maintaining low debt and not missing payments. Number 5 here is to invest in real estate with the VA loan. Now, I know you can't buy an investment property with the VA loan, but what you can do is my absolute favorite strategy for getting started in real estate: house hacking. And there are many ways to house hack. The most common is you buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. You live in one unit, rent all the others out. Another way is to buy a 4, 5, 6 bedroom house, rent all the other rooms out to single people. So let's say you're a young pilot or a new officer, and it's easier as the officer side because you might be coming out of college single and you still have money in BAH. So you buy a 5-bedroom house, you rent the other 4 out to other single lieutenants, and now they're paying you to own your home. You're living in it for free, maybe even pocketing a little extra money, keeping all your BAH, and they get a discounted place to stay with other service members, which they would probably prefer anyway. On the fourplex side, you don't need to have other single people. You can rent to full families. And so there are benefits to both of these. I've done both in various ways, and they are wonderful ways to save all the money you would have had to pay to live somewhere and then be able to save that to reinvest. This house hacking is, in my opinion, the single fastest way to change the trajectory of your financial future, and I absolutely love it. Enough that I've got probably 10 to 20 videos on house hacking and using the VA loan, including an entire hour-long webinar about house hacking with the VA loan. Go check all that stuff out. If you want more information, I'll drop a QR code right here for my team can make introductions to agents and lenders that we like. And so if I throw that, my video editor, throw that link there, the QR code. If you scan that, we'll help make some intros to agents and lenders that can help you do this. Now, I could easily sidebar this entire conversation and dig into real estate investing specific, but just know that by owning a home, you are going to get the value of the appreciating home. You're going to pay the home down. If you house hack, your tenants are going to help pay the home down. You'll get some tax advantages if you do it right. And honestly, it's just a great way to set yourself up for success because as long as you can afford to make the payments, long-term, you will win with real estate investing. Now, I know I'm making it sound simple. There are complexities to this. I'm not trying to make it sound like a get rich quick, get rich easy, whatever. But it is a tried and true method, and it works. Over time, it certainly works. I will also say this, because I know that I'm going to get the comment about I don't have BAH yet. If you go to my podcast again and you check out the episode with Jabbar Adesada, which I'll drop a link down below. Jabbar Adesada he was a Marine who bought his first duplex as a corporal without BAH. And I've actually had 2 guests on my podcast that have done this. So I'm not telling you it's easy. It is possible, so don't limit yourself mentally. I also know a single E5 who bought a $1.2 million fourplex in San Diego County and was able to live in it for free. Actually, he might have been paid a little bit every month to live in it. And that's just a killer deal. I've known a few people to do that. And I use that expensive example just to get rid of the naysayers about the price of your market. It can work in any market if you do it correctly. Number 6 here is to actually freaking use your military benefits and use them wisely. It's things like your Service Member Civil Relief Act, your SCRA, which allows you to cut the interest rate on any debt you had pre-military to 6%. Credit cards. Now, I'm not saying you should go pull a credit card for no reason, but things like the Amex, which has a lot of benefits for service members, you can get the fee for using the card waived while you're active duty, which is huge. That saves you a couple $100 a month to get the benefits of like $15 Uber Eats every month, $15 towards Uber every month, flight benefits, travel benefits, points. I use the Amex business card in my business, and we've done enough that I was able to buy 2 first-class flights for me and my COO to LA last month and back in points. Now, I'm not saying you spend that much or you should, but the points are nice. They'll save me the cost of the ticket round trip, and we get to fly first class. Pretty cool. You've got the Special Adaptive Housing Benefit, which is for disabled veterans missing or use or missing limbs, 2 limbs, your legs, your arms, or one of each, blind or having like severe burns, and that is a up to $117,000 grant for living in a home. I just did a whole video on that that'll come out soon. You've got VOC rehab, you've got the GI Bill, you've got tuition assistance while you're serving, all these ways to increase your education while serving. And I would also say if you can use some of those to learn tangible skills and things you can use like copywriting or media buying or marketing or social media that'll help with like new age kind of style of marketing, that's beneficial too. You've also got your Chapter 35 benefits if you're 100% permanent and total disability, which allows your kids to go to school, like college, on grants. There's also a $5,000 grant towards private school for your kids before they go to college. And there are other benefits like that. And so on that, with the disability, if you're currently serving and you're watching this, go to medical. If you have an issue, document it. If you think you have an issue, ask about it at medical. As long as it's in your record, when you get out, if it starts bothering you down the road, then you can claim it on your VA claim. Now, I am not here to say you should just make stuff up. I am here to say you should claim things that actually bother you so that it gets documented, so that you're not sitting on the sidelines as a veteran going, man, I should have gone to medical because this thing really bothers me and nobody knows that it happened in the military, so they won't pay for me to go get it looked at. You don't want to be in that situation. The military is not always gentle on your body, so go and document it and take care of yourself. Now I'm going to throw number 7 out here. I don't necessarily think you should or have to do this, but if you have the fortitude, start a business. And that could be as simple as just consulting. You can do the Uber Eats like a side hustle, or it could be as much as like I built this entire brand while I was in the military by just hobby blogging and learning about it as it grew. And it eventually became a force that was able to help me replace my entire income and transition out of the military. Now, I am not saying you need to go start a business in order to achieve success, but if you have the inclination towards entrepreneurship, learn some skills that can help and go for it. Or do some consulting. Like, service members and vets do uniquely well in the entrepreneur journey because we are used to consistency and being disciplined enough to make the little thing, like do the little things that compound over time and actually working towards our goals. We don't give up. And so if you have that internal like inclination, go for it, follow it. Like, there are tons of benefits out there. Again, if you don't, that's fine. Don't do it. Don't waste your time with it. Pay off your debt, build your credit, use a VA loan to house hack. You can achieve financial freedom very quickly. The business side, I was still paying to run my hobby blog when I transitioned out of the military, financially free with $1 million net worth. It wasn't making me money yet. It was still in the red. But then it eventually got to the place where now it's allowed me to have a little bit more lavish lifestyle. But that was a long journey. But through the real estate and the TSP alone and decent basic finances, I was able to get there. The business was just a bonus. And the one last thing I'll throw out there is if you haven't yet, read the No BS Guide to Military Life by me. I'll have my video editor link, a QR code up here. This book is legitimately everything that I wish I'd known about joining the military and financial freedom within when I first joined. I didn't start my journey until 7.5 years into the Marine Corps. When I was broke, stuck on recruiting duty, not living my happiest life, I was like, damn, I need a way out. And so I started doing this stuff. And if I'd known this 7 years prior, my net worth would have been $2 million by the time I left at 13 years. Now, it's still $1.1 million. Not terrible, but it could have been double. Could have been more than double. Hell, if I played my cards right and I was aggressive, it could have been 3, 4, 5 times. But this will set you up for success. And that QR code will allow you to download the digital version for free. And if you want, I'll drop you a link for the physical copy on Amazon. All that being said, these were the 7 steps that I used to achieve financial freedom in the military. You can absolutely get rich in the military with military pay if you get rid of any victim mentality, decide to be in control of your situation, make smart financial decisions, stay consistent, stay disciplined, and just keep going. The military is a great option for a lot of people. I believe in you. Subscribe to follow along and comment your favorite tip or trick that you believe will help service members achieve financial freedom so that we can boost them up in the comments and help others benefit from your information. Have a great day.